What time is it?
Moments of Inspiration with Zoe.
Hey fam, this is Zoe with another episode of Moments of Inspiration. It's always a pleasure to hang out with you like always, and I hope you're going to have a great productive week. My prayers are always for you to have one and to go from glory to glory. That's right. Well, I just want to talk with you briefly. I had a deep conversation, an intimate conversation with a great friend of mine just last night, and he was talking about quite a few things, but in the conversation, he mentioned a little bit about seed. And that's what I want to share with you about today, what I learned from a seed. That's right, what I learned from a seed. Number one, a seed is living. And number two is that it's dormant. And when you're dealing with the seed and it's dormant, what you have to understand is that there is life on the inside of it. Even though it's still and it looks like nothing's going on, there's nutrients, there's a lot of things on the inside of it. As a matter of fact, in its seed form, it requires very little resources to stay alive. And that's a very interesting fact about a seed. And you may be asking, what does a seed have to do with my life, Zoe? It has a lot to do with the seed because our thoughts, our mindset is actually a seed. And it follows the same laws and the same patterns as seeds do when we plant seeds in everyday life. And so these are a few things that I mentioned before, what I learned from a seed. And another thing about seeds is that it requires very little resources to stay alive until they are in the appropriate conditions to grow. And in other words, a seed literally awaits the opportunity to flourish. And one problem I have with people talking about other people that may be in rough seasons in their lives is that they do not understand what's actually on the inside of the seed. You have greatness in you. You have purpose in you. You have power in you. You have a lot of great things that's on the inside of you that is waiting for the opportunity to flourish. And number three here about a seed is the environment is essential to the proper growth of that seed. Very essential. So if you're in an environment with people speaking death and speaking defeat over you and in your life, that is a bad place to try to grow. And it's very important that you change your environment to the best of your ability. Once again, I'm telling you things that I learned from a seed, or we can simply say this: what are you planting? That's very important for our growth and our success to move to the next level. And so the next thing here, a characteristic of a seed, is that growth is not an overnight process. And if you're trying to get things done overnight, you're going to become depressed, distressed, frustrated, discouraged. This is not an overnight process. And what I want you to understand is that the law of the seed operates both ways. Whether it's good thoughts, good mindsets, or bad thoughts and bad mindsets, the law is still the same. So if you're in a situation that is very difficult for you and it might have been brought on because it's your fault, well, 9 times out of 10, when you get into something, it doesn't happen overnight. And to get out of it, it doesn't happen overnight as well, 9 times out of 10. So we have to operate in these laws of the seed, okay? That's very important here. So once again, growth is not an overnight process. And 9 times out of 10, getting out of that situation will not be an overnight process as well, but it requires consistency in the right environment. So I want to remind you of that. The next thing I have here, as far as a seed is concerned as well, is that you have to understand that actions always follow a thought. In other words, you can't have an action without first having a thought to give birth to it. You understand that? Let me say that again. You can't have an action without first having a thought to give birth to it. So it's very important to understand that our mindset and our thoughts are conducive to the environment. So we must have the right environment, okay, to allow those good seeds to germinate and to grow. And I have two scriptures here I want to share with you, and I'll be out of here. Psalms 1, verses 1 and 3, and it says this: "But they delight in the law of the Lord, meditating on it day and night, and they will be like trees planted by the riverbank, bearing fruit each season. Their leaves never wither, and they prosper in all they do." You heard that? Oh, that's great news for you. And I have one more for you. It's coming out of Jeremiah 17, verses 7 and 8, and I really love this one. It says, "Blessed is the one who trusts in the Lord, whose confidence is in him. They will be like trees planted by the water that has roots by the stream. It doesn't fear when heat comes. Its leaves are always green. It has no worries in a year of drought, and never fails to bear fruit." Man, I love that. We don't have to worry when the heat comes. We don't have to worry when the drought comes. Why? Because we are planted, hallelujah, by the power source. I feel like having church up in here. So don't worry and don't fret when trials and tribulation comes, because we are planted in a good place. So I want to encourage you, let's take a lesson from the seed. I have that question for you. What are you planting? I love you so much, and have a great week. And remember that something good is going to happen to you. God bless.
Moments of Inspiration with Zoe.